Hello viewers, welcome to my channel Data IQ. In today's video, we are going to dive into some of the most recent and frequently asked interview questions that are trending right now across two tech companies. Whether you are preparing for your next job interview, brushing up your skills, or just curious to learn, this video is for you. So grab a notebook, stay tuned till the end, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. For more awesome interview prep content, let's get started. So our first question is, you are given a file that contains some corrupted data. How would you identify and separate the corrupted data from the file using Databricks? So this is the very tricky question that they ask, and even trying to understand whether you have a correct understanding about the data and the files, what type of files you are getting and all. So the answer will be, there can be a data sets that can contain corrupt records. Those records don't follow data specific rules that are followed by correct records. Example, corrupt record may have been delimited with a pipe character, but the rest of the other records are delimited by comma, and it is mentioned to read data from that file with comma separator. So you have a rule that you'll get a file with a comma separator, but sometimes you get a file with a pipe. This is the symbol of that pipe. That is also a separator, but as per your rule, it should come as a comma. So for you, that file becomes a corrupted data. So you have to identify that and using a data bricks. So yeah, I'll explain step by step. So you have to, first step is use the bad records path options. It's a functions that will help you to automatically store corrupted records in separate locations. Second will be use permissive drop malformed fail fast mode. These are the functions that you have to use. Then third step will be manually validate and filter after loading. Fourth will be write a corrupted data to separate location to preserve for debugging. So you have to even preserve your corrupted data. So in the future you have to debug something, you can debug that as well. So this was the first question. I hope you got it. Now next move to the second question. So I guess this is visible to you. Let me move aside. Now we'll go and look into the next question, that is describe the Spark architecture. So if you are a data engineer, this question is for you, and the answer will be, what is a Spark architecture? The first explain, Apache Spark follows a master slave architecture with a driver and multiple executors distributed across a clusters. It's designed for distributed processing of big data using in-memory computation. So you can answer any way you want. I have provided answers that will help you to brush ups, or a more good way to answer it that you can do. This is the diagram that will help you to understand the architecture, Spark architecture, that it's a driver program Spark context. Then you have to cluster manager, you have to manage your clusters. Then it's divided into further worker nodes, and underneath that you have executors and tasks. Further it's divided. So yeah, as I said, driver program master node, cluster manager manages resource like CPU, memory, and assign them to stack application. So you can explain that way. Then you have executors run on worker nodes and do the actual work and task, jobs, and stages. And last is directed acyclic graph. Spark creates a DAG stages and tasks instead of traditional map reduce flows. So this is the second question. Now let's move further for the third question. So the third question is, what is SCD2? SCD defines that slow changing dimensions. So there are parts of SCD, SCD 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So specifically you can also learn on that, also know the difference. But specifically in this set, it was asked what is SCD2. So you have to explain. SCD2 type, slowly changing dimension type 2, is a data warehousing techniques used to track historical changes in dimension data over time. So you can further explain when an attribute, like, so you have to give an example as well. You can explain with an example what is SSD2 and what does that mean if you have an understanding on that. And its key difference is like when an attribute like, for example, like customer address changes, so we want to preserve the old value, you want to preserve the customer's old address for historical reporting, and now you have a new, the address got changed, so that is a new record, so add the new value as a new record, so you will be adding a new row beneath that, so this customer has the now this new address. So instead of updating or deleting, so what SAD do, we are not updating the same context, we are uh, creating a new row for that particular customer that will store the new address. So instead of updating or deleting the old data, SCD2 inserts a new row with updates, values, preserving the history of the changes. So they are preserving the changes. So that will be based on the either time or time span or date, and that's how you flag it. So this is the third question. Now let's move on to the next question. This is what is the fact table, dimension table, and what kind of data inside it. So you have to explain what is fact table and dimension table, that you can explain with an example. I have given you a definition. A fact table contains measurable quantitative data, that is called facts, that are used for analysis, stores the metrics of a business process like sales, revenue, quantity, gross, everything that data table content, that is called a fact. So contains a foreign keys to a dimensions table. The fact contains foreign key and one primary key, so that you can join with the other dimension tables. Contains major facts like sales amount, order count, etc. Usually very large in size because you have a data over there, that's why. Grows over time because it's a new transaction every day, even some has an every hour of transaction that it stores, so yeah, it will increase. And now, what is a dimension table? So a dimension table contains descriptive contextual informations about the data in fact table. These are the who, what, where, when behind the facts that you can explain. So you basically store attributes or categories, example customer name, product category, used for filtering, grouping, and drill down in reports. Relatively smaller than fact because it's just a dimension that you're putting it, because you only want the categories. And then can be SCD, so your dimension table can be an SCD. So this is how you can explain the difference between those two. Now let's move to the next question. What is the advantage Parquet file over CSV file format? So you have to explain why prefer Parquet file or advantage of Parquet file over CSV file format. That is a very common. So basically Parquet file is a columnar storage format optimized for big data workloads. That this is a table that I have created for you to differentiate like feature. So difference in CSV and Parquet storage format. CSV is row based, Parquet is your column based. File size will be, CSV is larger because it's a row based, and Parquet is smaller, up to 75% compression you have. Compression no, but in Parquet you can do a built and efficient. And read performance, CSV is slower because it has lots of rows, because it read entire file. Parquet is faster because it is only needed columns, whatever column you want it reads that, that's why it's a better. Schema support, CSV doesn't give it, Parquet give you. Data types are preserved. Splittable, yes, but limited. And yes, parallelized. So this is the difference that you can learn and you can brush up. And then use case example, I'll give an example as well. That suppose you have a 100 GB CSV file with 100 columns, but your query only needs 3 columns. So CSV read all 100 GB, while meanwhile Parquet might read only 5 GB, 3 columns plus metadata it will read. So this is the best example of how you can differentiate Parquet and CSV, and why it's what are the advantage of Parquet. So let's move on to the next question. You have given Avro and Parquet file format. Which file format is a more splittable? So it's a same forwarded question from the last one. but here you have not CSV. Now you have an Avro and file format. So first you understand about splittable. What does splittable mean? Splittable means file can be divided into chunks, splits, and processed in parallel, which is essential for distributed system like Apache Spark, Hadoop, or Hive. So this is this. Again, this is instead of CSV, you can do Avro or Parquet. Final verdict is that both Avro and Parquet are splittable, but Avro is more consistently splittable, especially under various compression schemes. So this is how you can explain this answer. Now let's move forward to the next question. That is SQL order execution. This is the most demanded questions asked by many in many of the interviews. Either you're experienced person or a freshers. This is a very good question, and you should also know, because you are going to write a SQL query if you wanted to become a data engineer or any engineer. So you must know how your SQL query get executed. So this is a figure representation of that. I have a query. It says select from employee join where. So how it get executed whenever you have writing this many. So the first step it get executed is your first number from, then you have join, then it will go to the join. The next step it will do where. So it will first filter it out, then after filtering it will do the group by department name, and then having, and then after doing all the filtration group by having whatever filter you are doing joins, after that it's going to select whatever the requirement you have, it will give it, and then whatever the result you get in select, you'll get the result after all the joins and informations, and then after that it will do the arrangement, either you're doing order by or limiting your queries and whatever. So this is how your SQL query get executed. So I hope you like this video and this will help you to prep for your next interview questions. So this is it. Thank you. I hope you like this video. If you wanted more such videos, please like, subscribe, and comment. I'll come up with more recent questions, interview questions. Thank you. Please like, subscribe, and comment.